I the asshole for not telling my daughter I'm aware of her lifestyle until almost a year later? Disclaimer, this is not my story. My daughter is 25. She lives a fairly wealthy life. And when asked by family, she says she invests stocks, crypto, and etc. I know she does, but that's not even half of her income. She does OnlyFans and Twitter and PH. I'm aware of this because I admit a single man in his 40s has needs. And I recognized it as right away. I clicked on her Twitter profile and her face was the profile picture. I blocked her, made a note of the name so I wouldn't come across them anywhere else, and felt kinda weird of myself, but I didn't bring it up to her. That was a year ago, and a few days ago she finally admitted at a family function what she does. Mixed reaction and anger aside, I did let her know I knew, and I respect her choice as long as she's being safe, and knew she was okay with being online forever. She got really upset with me and told me I shouldn't be watching those kind of things and I'm disgusting. Hasn't talked to me since, and I get her disgust in it, but is it really that bad I never told her? I'm the asshole for deleting pictures of myself from my husband's phone. Disclaimer, this is not my story. I can't explain why, but I absolutely hate seeing pictures of myself pregnant and ask people not to take them. A few days ago, I saw my husband had changed his lock screen to a pregnant me. When I asked him about it, he told me he had missed me and the baby while he was away, and that's why he took the picture and changed it to his lock screen. He admitted he had forgotten to change it back before he got home, and that every time he went on a business trip, he was changing it to pictures of me pregnant. I was upset and asked him to delete it. He said he would, but when he was sleeping, I had a nagging feeling that he hadn't actually deleted it. So I checked his phone. He had 100+ pictures of me pregnant, all taken without me noticing, including the one I asked him to delete. I deleted them all. Yesterday he noticed and was really upset over it. We had an argument and he made a big show of changing his phone password and implied he had the pictures backed up. So am I the asshole? I don't know. Am I the asshole for overreacting when my boyfriend put icy hot in my bra? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, 15 female, have been dating Luke, 16 male, for a year. This is the first time he pranked me. Today, while he was at my house, he did this horrible prank on me. He put icy hot in my bra when I was in the shower. He rubbed icy hot all over my bra, on top in my underwear drawer, with 2 of his friends, Liam and Barry. Then they left my room. I changed and came downstairs. It hurt like hell. I didn't know what was going on. I kept grimacing and cringing. And Luke was like, enjoying your icy hot? Oh yeah, you got pranked. I snapped and told him to get out. He said, calm down, it was a harmless prank, you're overreacting. You'll regret overreacting tomorrow, it's just a prank. I don't think it was a prank. It still hurts, and it's embarrassing. The 3 of them all saw my bras and underwear, and it was painful. He keeps calling and texting me, and I really don't want to talk to him right now. So am I the asshole?
Story of the time I quit a job because my boss was extremely discriminatory. I thought I was gonna butcher that word. Oh god. I would say the R word, but I feel like it would get banned off TikTok, so, you know. So anyway, I worked at this place, and right off the bat, I kind of got weird vibes from the lady that worked there. Like, she seemed nice, but she was also, like, very blunt and, like, straightforward, which there's nothing wrong with that. Except for when you're extremely blunt and straightforward towards, like, your opinions about things that are extremely controversial. Why can't I speak today? Controversial, yeah. So, oh my god, I'll just tell you, like, one story. Maybe I'll tell more in the future, but, like, I can't even express to you. I get angry. Like, I know I'm gonna get angry while I'm talking about this. So anyway, a group of people that spoke Spanish came to the stand, and they were just browsing, you know. I was, like, trying to help them, but they didn't know what they wanted, which is pretty normal. I feel like every single person does that when they walk past the stand in a mall, you know. So they end up walking away, not getting anything, which is, like I said, pretty normal. And the lady goes, I feel like I can't say this on TikTok. She's like, ugh, those people, like, they just never buy anything. Except, like, she said, like, Mexican. And I was like, how do you know that they're Mexican? Because whenever people say, like, really dumb stuff, I always just hit them with, like, a really stupid question. Like, not even a stupid question, like a good question, but one that makes them feel stupid, you know what I mean? And she was like, because look at them, like, you could just tell. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. I honestly, like, I can't tell. Like, you could tell that they're Hispanic, but, like, they definitely don't look, you know, Mexican. And she was like, what? That's literally the same thing. Like, what are you talking about? And it's crazy, like, I forgot to mention this, but she literally moved here from a different country, like, a few years ago, so I just, like, don't get how she could be so ignorant, you know? Anyway, we had jewelry imported from Mexico and from Guatemala. So one day this guy comes in, it's, like, right before Valentine's Day. He's like, oh, I have to get my wife something really special because her birthday's on Valentine's Day, and, like, you know, I have to knock both of those events out at once by getting her something extravagant, blah, blah, whatever. So I showed him the jewelry from Guatemala because it was pretty expensive, you know? And the lady's like, did you tell him it's imported from Guatemala? Did you tell him that it's handmade? Blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, oh, which one is it? From Mexico or Guatemala? And she's like, you should know this. This is the first thing I taught you, from Guatemala. And I was like, well, they look the same. Like, how could you tell? And hopefully that made her feel stupid. Story at the time I had the cops raid this guy's house to find my phone. So anyway, the cops go up to the guy's door. And like I said, it was an apartment building with 2 people living in it. And the guy said in Spanish to his wife, no, don't let them in, don't let them in. But then one of the cops ended up speaking Spanish. And he was like, all right, well, now that you just said that, we had to come in. So the cops go in, raid the entire house. I start playing the Find My iPhone sound. Like, you know when you lose your phone and you log in to Find My iPhone and then it starts going ding, ding. All of a sudden, we hear the sound. And all you see is just one of the guys standing there in the corner with his hand on his head being like, oh my God. So the cop comes out, ends up giving me my phone. So I said to the cop, what did they say? And the cop was like, it was the owner of a restaurant and he said that you left your phone in there. And he said he took it home with him so nobody would steal it. Questionable, but that's so embarrassing. I'm never going back to that restaurant. Story of the time I had the police raid somebody's house to find my phone. So the other day, me and my boyfriend were out pretty much the entire day. And you know, whenever I'm with my boyfriend, I don't pay attention to anything else except for him because like, oh my God, I just love him. No, but seriously, I really just was not paying attention and I didn't realize that I didn't have my phone on me for like 5 hours. So during that time, we went to a restaurant, we went to Walmart, we went to 7-Eleven, we just went to a bunch of places and we were just so in love that we were just not paying attention to anything. Actually, I should say I wasn't paying attention to anything because, you know, I was the one that lost my phone. Anyway, it comes around to like 10 o'clock at night and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna leave now. He's like, okay, where's your phone? So we start looking around, can't find it anywhere. So I was like, wait a minute, check my location to make sure that I didn't like, you know, leave it anywhere. It's probably in my car. We checked the location and I kid you not, it was in a different town than we were in. So long story short, we end up driving to the location that it was at. But it was literally in an apartment complex that we've never been to. So there was no way that I could have left it there. So we came to a conclusion that somebody's trying to steal my phone. And we didn't want to knock on any of the apartments ourselves just in case, you know, like somebody dangerous came out because it was a sketchy area and like we never been there and I don't know. So I decided to call the cops. The cops take like an hour to get there and they knock on the building that it said that my phone was in. So in the building there was 2 people that lived in it, so it was like split in half. And the first people that were downstairs answered the door. At this point it was like 2 in the morning. So the guy starts speaking in Spanish and he's like, don't let them in, don't let them in. But then one of the police officers actually spoke Spanish, so he was like, just because you said that, now we have to come in. So they start raiding the guy's house like for Guess who just turned 21 today and spent the entire night doing her nails because she wanted her nails to look cute for her birthday but now is running off of no sleep? Me! Nah, but I literally stayed up all night doing my nails for no reason. Like, I should have done this last week, but I'm just lazy and I wait till last second to do everything, so here we are. Started doing them at, 10 o'clock last night, and it's 2:30 in the afternoon right now because it's my birthday and I don't want to sleep on my birthday. But anyway, turning 21 reminded me of a very funny story. Actually, kind of like a life lesson, honestly. So this was like a few years ago. So this store that sells beverages, right, to people who are, you know, teenagers, was a place that I would go often. And I'm not proud of it and do not do this because you should only be partaking in these activities when you are the legal age. But anyway, I went in there, got some bevs, and brought it to my friend's house to have some fun, you know, just to chill, you know, laugh a little bit, be a little goofy together, you know. But, you know that we had too many bevs when my friend was like, let's sneak some boys in. And I was like, your parents are home and awake, so maybe not. And she was like, nah, let's do it. So she calls them over. By the way, this is her house, not my house. If it was my house, I'd be like, yeah, okay, you thought. But anyway, sneaks them in. 5 minutes later, her dad texts her, who just snuck into my house? I see you on the Ring camera. And she was like, nobody. And I was like, oh God. And he was like, I just saw you. And she was like, Dad, you're seeing things. And he was like, if I come downstairs right now, am I gonna find anyone? And she was like, no. So he comes down and finds 8 boys in the closet. You guys, I have a rash on my neck. And I need somebody's advice because I'm freaking out. And I don't know if it's a rash, if it's I've been bit by a bug, if a vampire bit me in my sleep. I don't really know. So I'm going to tell you a little backstory of like how I got it. But first, guys, you need this cordless hair curler. Like, I'm just saying, the curls come out beautiful. And I'm not going to lie, I had to go over the curls like 1 or 2 times just to, like, because I never used this before. So I had to like see, you know, what worked or whatever. But the link is in my bio, just so you know. Anyway, back to this mystery rash, growth, whatever you want to call it, on my neck. So a couple of days ago, okay, I'm not trying to throw my friend under the bus or anything, because like I don't think she has like roaches or like bed bugs or anything, but like at the same time, like you never know, I don't know. But I slept at her house for like 3 days in a row, and I initially thought that I went to bed itching because, you know, she has a dog and it sheds, which honestly could be the case. Like I said, I don't know. I need your guys' help and advice because I have no idea what this possibly could be. So then the last night that I slept there, I had a dream that I got bit by a giant mosquito on my neck. And in my dream, I went into my dad's toolbox, took out sandpaper, and just started itching my neck. I don't know what that noise was. So, moral of the story, I literally was itching my neck in my sleep while I was asleep and woke up itching my neck still. Not only my neck, but my thumb. Yes, my thumb. And like, I don't know about you, but anytime I've ever gotten a bug bite on my finger, like, I never feel satisfied itching it. I try to bite it too, but like, it still is just not satisfying. The only thing that I've ever been able to like find that actually itches a mosquito bite or bug bite on my thumb is the lid to a water bottle, like the cap, like, you know, the rough part. Like, that's the only thing I've ever been able to find like that actually works when I'm trying to itch something on my thumb. But anyway, that's irrelevant. So anyway, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that hickey on my neck is not the bug bite. In this video, like, you can't see it because it already like kind of went away, but yeah, I probably should have like mentioned that, because this whole time you probably thought that was the bug bite, but it's not. But yeah, anyway, so I told my dad, and then he called the exterminators. The exterminators ended up saying that we had carpet beetles, and so they sprayed the entire house, and they told us that we would find like corpses of bugs. Never found any corpses at all, so I feel like they were just pretending that we had carpet beetles just to charge us to spray the whole house. But anyway, yeah, link in bio for the curling iron. Guess what time it is? New hair, who this? New hair, who this time? Nah, but for real, I just got my new extensions in the mail. Oh my god, 360 grams and like 24 inches. Can you just take a moment of silence for me to appreciate these nice extensions? Like, girl. But anyway, I washed them, and then I also blow dried them and used my straightener to make them wavy, and yeah, but I'll make a separate video showing you guys that. Okay, so I'm currently, I don't know what my story time is going to be about. I don't know what I'm going to be recording this for, but I'm currently late for a job interview. I was supposed to be there at 12, and it's already like 1:18, so I have my cordless curling iron. Yes. Okay, good news is I don't have to be there till 2, so I have a little bit of time. It's like 10 minutes away, and obviously I didn't show you guys the whole process of blow drying the extensions, and I did put like the straightener over them because like these extensions are thick, so they get like really tangled really easily. So there's like a slight wave to them, but like they're not popping enough. I need like bouncy, nice, defined curls. So let's see how this bad boy works. Oh, my stomach just growled. I'm at a stoplight. So, this is what it looks like. Very cute, very sleek look to it. It's called Luxio. Okay, so, I was gonna just curl it and do it while I was driving, but I figured that it's probably not that safe. Driving with my knee is probably not the best thing to do. So, you know what? There's a Wawa coming up. I'm just gonna park in there real quick. It's like 3 minutes away, the interview, so, like, that'll be good. And it's 1:25, but gotta be there too. It's fine. Pulling up to the hair salon. My stomach is, maybe I'll get like coffee, I don't know. Okay, we're here, and as you can see, my hair's very like so let's see. So we turned this on, and I charged this last night to make sure that it's like nice and charged. Bitch, excuse me. Oh, okay, I had to hold it. So you could go to like 180 degrees. So I'm just gonna, whoa, I'm sorry, I just like never used this before. So I'm guessing like you just put it up. Oh wait, 180 degrees Celsius. So that's like more Fahrenheit, right? Okay, I'm running out of time. So I'm gonna do an underpiece first to make sure that I'm like going in the right direction, you know what I mean? So ignore the broken nail, but like, okay. So I'm gonna put it like this on the side. And I want it to go this way. So let's see. Hold it there, a few seconds. I'll wait. Sorry, I just didn't want to like use up all my time. Okay. Oh! Okay, I'll show you my whole hair when I'm done. Okay, so I only did the front pieces, but like look at how much better. I gotta go. Bye! Lincoln, bye. During the time I met my biological family. So as some of you may know, I'm adopted, and I do know my biological family on my mother's side, but I never met anybody on my father's side. Until, you know, recent years. I thought it was because they knew nothing about me, but come to find out they just wanted nothing to do with me. Or so I thought. So long story short, I found out my biological father passed away in 2010. And when I found that out, it was already too late, so I could never meet him anyway. But I found his obituary online, and I looked up his family members on Facebook and messaged them. I went more into detail about that in my last video if you want to check it out. But anyway, I find out that his family lived lived 10 minutes away from me my entire life. So I could have easily ran into them at the supermarket and never have known. Anyway, we set up a date to meet. At the time I was 16, so I definitely didn't want to go alone. So my biological grandma, who I've been close with my entire life, was really excited for me and she really wanted me to meet them, so she took me to meet them. When I met up with them, they were pretty nice and they all kept on telling me how much I looked like him. They told me that there was rumors about him having a child, but nobody knew for sure. And obviously nobody bothered to look into it. I was a kid, so I was really awkward, so I didn't say much. My grandma was doing most of the talking. The craziest thing about this entire situation is that my biological father actually had a nephew. And get this, he has a daughter that's my age, in my grade, whose name is Mia. And he has a son who's a little bit younger, but his birthday is the same as mine. How wild is that? They haven't talked to me since, but it's cool. Story of the time I met my biological family. So some of you guys might not know this, but I was adopted. It was an open adoption, so I knew that I was adopted my whole life. And I always knew my biological mother and her side of the family. I was told from the beginning that my biological father had no idea that I even existed. But then a few years ago, I asked my parents what the whole process was like when they went to adopt me. And he told me that my biological father had to sign away the rights to give me up, which my biological grandma never told me. Mind you, I'm really close to her and she always told me everything that had to do with that situation if I asked, but just not that. So anyway, I look his name up online. Come to find out, he passed away in 2010. So obviously the idea of meeting him was out of the picture completely. But I looked up his last name on Facebook to see if he had any sisters or other kids or anything. And he had no other kids, but he had a sister. So I messaged her and I said, "Hi, my name is Mia. I'm 15 years old and I'm so-and-so's daughter. I'm not sure if you knew about me, but I thought I would reach out and see if you ever wanted to meet." And she said that she heard that he had a daughter, but nobody ever asked any questions about it, which is kind of sus. Come to find out, him and his family lived 10 minutes away from me my entire life. I could have easily ran into them at the supermarket and never even known. Let me know if you guys want to hear about when I actually end up meeting up with them, because it was definitely an interesting encounter. Story of the time I accidentally made eye contact with a lady dropping a deuce in public. So there are these shopping plazas near me, and it's basically two separate plazas, but they're connected by this small road. So me, my sister, and my friend were in the first plaza, and we decided that we wanted to go to the Chick-fil-A that's in the other plaza. Now, the way that this little road is set up, there's kind of a giant hill. So when you're driving down the road, you could see the top of the hill, which is also a parking lot behind a building. I hope that made sense, but anyway, we're going down the hill, and my sister's like, ah! And I was like, what? So she starts pointing at the hill, can't even get her words out. And I start driving mad slow because I wanted to see what she was pointing at. I make direct eye contact with this woman's full moon. She had her back facing us because she was trying to, release her toxins, off the hill. But her neck was doing a complete 360 because she was still looking directly at us, even with her back facing us. I just wanted to drop a disclaimer, this was not a homeless woman. She had her car and it was parked literally right next to where she was doing that. And not for nothing, she was wearing like a nice outfit, she looked nice. Maybe not from the angle that I was looking at her, but listen, I think she might have been like maybe lactose intolerant, accidentally put whole milk in her coffee instead of almond milk, and just really had to let it out, you know? Shit happens. I hope she's okay. Story of the time this old lady tried to fight me, part 2. So like I told you guys in my last video, there's a community pool in my neighborhood. I live in a 55 and up community with my parents, so most of the people that live there are 55 and up. So most of the people that go to the pool are 55 and up also. So this lady comes up to me saying that I need to get out of her pool, and I don't belong there because I'm not a resident, which I am a resident. So I show her my ID card and I'm like, look, I'm a resident, I can be here if I want to. So she takes the ID card out of my hand and starts running around to all her old Karen friends and is like, oh my god, look at this fake ID card. She really made a fake ID card to get into our pool. And I was like, listen, Betty, if I wanted to make a fake ID card to get into some pool, do you really think I'm gonna come to one that smells like farts and death? No! Do you think I want your husband Wilfred breaking his neck and possibly his hip every time I walk by? No! I would at least get a fake ID card to some fancy schmancy pool. Like, why would I get one to some old fart community? And she was like, oh, have some respect for your elders. I was like, you don't respect me, I don't respect you. I took my card and walked away. Story of the time I got into a fight with an old lady. So in my neighborhood, we have a community pool. And I live with my parents in a 55 and over community, so all the people that go to the pool are usually over 55. But since I'm over the age of 19, I'm allowed to live in this community with my parents. And all the residents of this community get an ID card with a picture of their face on it, so they can get into the gym and the pool, etc. And that includes me, because I'm a resident. So one day I went to the pool by myself, like I usually did. I wasn't being disruptive, I wasn't playing music, nothing. I was just getting my tan on. And this old fart comes up to me. And she goes, excuse me, you can't be here. And I was like, excuse me? Who are you? And she was like, I'm a resident of this community. And I was like, okay, so am I. And she was like, show me your ID card. And I was like, wait, do you own the pool or something? Do you work here? And she was like, no, but I'll call somebody down so they can kick you out. And I was like, sorry, Karen, but I come here almost every single day to tan because I live here and I'm allowed to. So just to shut her up, I show her my ID card. Grandma Sue tried to say it was a fake ID card.
My husband, 33, got into a car accident almost a month ago. He's been bedridden due to the back injury and I've been his primary caregiver. The pressure has been too much for my mother-in-law. She keeps telling me to take care of him and be there for him constantly. She begged me to take time off of work and I did, and asked me to send her hourly updates about his condition during the first 2 weeks. But when I don't, she'd get mad and cause an issue. She visits every day but doesn't do anything to help. Alternatively, she lists things that I should or shouldn't do. The family keeps telling me that she's just worried sick for her son, so I try to stay calm. Days ago, she called to berate me about not replacing the sheets quickly. I had no idea how she found out since my husband didn't call her. I was stunned. However, my sister-in-law called me to tell me that her mother had installed a camera in the bedroom to see if I was taking proper care of her son. After searching the room, I found the camera. I called my mother-in-law and had a huge fight with her. She admitted to it and said that she was just feeling concerned and wanted to make sure that her son was being cared for, despite him calling her every day. I yelled at her, telling her that she's no longer allowed in my home after this. She lost it and went on a rant about how I'm stopping her from seeing her son and that not seeing him will literally make her sick. The family called me later to get me to back out of the decision, but I told them that she breached my privacy and took advantage of the situation. They said I'm taking it too personally and that I can't blame a concerned mother for wanting to make sure that her son's fine, especially since she listed the things she thought I was doing wrong. I ended the conversation, but my husband is upset, telling me that I'm being vindictive and that if his mom can't come, then he'll move in with her. We argued, then I went outside and he's been silent ever since. Am I the asshole for banning my mother-in-law from the house after I discovered that she installed a camera in the bedroom? I have 3 daughters, Alyssa 18, Tessa 16, and Jenna 14. We rarely argue. She drives her sisters around and she works full-time while in school. The only problem is that she can be unreliable. If you ask her to get groceries and be home by 5, she'll call you at 6:30 and ask you what you wanted her to do. And she doesn't do housework without being reminded 5 times. She has ADHD though, so that explains it. Now Jenna loves to argue. Jenna argues with my husband a few times a week. She's a pretty good kid otherwise. She's a straight A student, she plays soccer and is playing softball, and she helps around the house more than both of her sisters combined. Tessa is complicated. When she applies herself, she gets straight A's extremely easy. The problem is, she never does her homework, so she usually gets B's and C's. She and I have similar hobbies, and both my husband and I love talking to her when she's in a good mood. We don't fight often, but when we do, it's very dramatic. She's been insisting that she has ADHD or some other problem since she was around 11 because she can't focus, but my husband and I think that she's just trying to get shorter assignments and extra time like Alyssa. We got into an argument the other day because she has IBD and gets infusions every 6 weeks. She's very strict about never pushing it back for any reason after we tried to push it back once because we were going to be in another state and she got sick at 6 weeks and 3 days. It was 2 years ago and she's healthier now, but she still refuses to push it back. Her next infusion is scheduled for the 1st, but we're going to be on vacation from the 30th to the 4th, so I scheduled her infusion for the 8th. Her doctor approved it, but she started yelling at me about how last time I pushed her infusion back, she got sick and she isn't going to risk her health for my vacation. It became a very long and drawn out argument. When I picked her up from school, she put her headphones on so that she wouldn't have to talk to me, and then she locked herself in her room. She borrowed my laptop, so I looked in her backpack to see if she still had it. While I was looking, I saw passes from the school therapist. Tessa knows I don't want her talking to those therapists because people will find any reason to call CPS. Tessa admitted that she'd been seeing the therapist once a week for 2 years. She wouldn't look up at me from her coloring book and started crying and asked me to give it back because her therapist gave it to her for when she was having a bad day. I ended up shredding it, and she hasn't left her room except for school and hasn't spoken since, so I wanted to know if I was the asshole. So, am I the asshole for shredding my daughter's coloring book? I'm 16 and my stepbro is 16, we'll call him H, and my dad 44 and his mom 33 started dating 2 years ago and married 1 year ago. They also moved in with us a year ago. My stepbro and I go to the same school, we're both in year 11, however we're polar opposites. I'm upper middle class, pretty slim, popular, devout Catholic, well-behaved, etc. And he's working class, quite chubby, atheist. He's also popular, however he's your typical working class punk teen who has been arrested multiple times and constantly misbehaves. The school we go to is in northern England and is overwhelmingly working class, so it's a miracle that I've managed to fit in. Now to the point. Since they moved in, my dad and stepmom and my 2 youngest step-siblings have converted to Catholicism. However, H has refused. He said he was raised atheist and refuses to convert to Catholicism. This creates alienation in our family, with him being the odd one out. A lot of the time he's out sleeping on his friend's couch or he's confined to his room because my dad and stepmom always pester him about his religious beliefs. They try to force him to convert to Catholicism by threatening consequences if he doesn't go to church, however nothing has worked. Today we were in English class. I'm in the same form group as H, and H was talking about how my dad nicked his mom and turned her into a religious nutcase. He also spoke about how he resents both my dad and his mom for trying to force him to assimilate to the church and alienating him just because he doesn't want to. I pretended not to hear him, however I secretly wrote everything he was saying down with the intention of showing my stepmom and dad. When I got home later that day after school, I usually always get there before him because he's pissing about with his mates most of the time. I showed stepmom and dad what he had said. They were both livid and rang H up demanding that he come home immediately. When he got home, dad and stepmom shouted at him and demanded that he come to their room to talk. I put my ear on the door to listen, and they told him that he was no longer allowed in the house and disowned him. That was a bit harsh in my opinion, however when H came out, he didn't look fussed at all, and he said that he'll just go sleep on his friend's couch. He's been gone for a couple hours now, and his stepmom and dad have received a lot of backlash from his aunt, uncle, cousins, extended family, etc. on my stepmom's side of the family. So he must have gotten in touch with his extended family about the incident. I have mixed feelings about this, because I feel guilty for getting him kicked out. However, I think that stepmom and dad deserve to know that H resents them and dubs them as religious nutcases. Am I the asshole for getting my stepbrother kicked out of the house? My boyfriend, 31, in the past had a binge drinking problem before we met. By the time we met, he had been sober for years but had cirrhosis on his liver that doesn't look to be getting any better and had some really bad lab results. He also had an embolism in his lungs, so had reduced lung function and diabetes. He went to a liver specialist who mentioned that my boyfriend might need a liver transplant in the future, and he came back pretty bummed out about that, understandably. He then, not seriously, but kind of hopefully let me know that I should donate part of my liver to him if we matched. I told him no, and I was kind of in shock that he would ask. We've only been dating for 8 months, and while I like him, I'm not convinced he's the one yet. He has a lot of qualities that I like, but some of them drive me up the wall, including having poor personal hygiene and not looking after his diet and eating mostly fast food, which probably is what causes diabetes. He was surprised and then tried to cover it up by saying he didn't expect it and he was just joking. I felt like he was being serious but didn't want to seem that way, and I told him that I would only think about doing something so personal for a parent, sibling, or a spouse, and only if we were on good terms. He then joked that he could just ask me to marry him to get my liver, and I told him that now he's mentioned it, it would make any marriage proposal seem disingenuous, so I wouldn't get matched to see if I was a candidate beforehand. He got serious and told me that the liver isn't a big transplant and I would still be able to keep part of my liver. I told him that it doesn't matter that the liver regenerates, I wouldn't even think about doing it just for a boyfriend. He got offended and said that he would do it for me if the situation was reversed, and I said that the problem is that the situation isn't reversed, so I'm not convinced he would do it just because he's spouting platitudes. He got really angry and stormed out of the house, and he hasn't been back in hours. Am I the asshole for being overly honest with him and telling him that I wouldn't donate my liver to him? I live with a roommate and her 3-year-old child. My roommate is a 4th-year medical student and is really struggling, having to balance with the child, intense study workload, chores and part-time jobs to afford rent, babysitter and necessities. On the day of the biggest exam of her entire degree, her babysitter canceled last minute. She was absolutely frantic and hysterically called every one of her contacts to help. Of course, she asked me. She has asked me to babysit before and I always give her stern no. It's not the time that I need to spend, since I'm perfectly fine with swapping around chores, but the principle that I must be responsible for the child for the duration. For example, if the child hurts himself, no matter how badly, it would be on me. And I refuse to take the responsibility for something like that, so I always refuse to babysit. She begged me, and since the journey to her exam is almost 2 hours away and she needed to go now, she just said, "I don't fucking care," and left the house. Frankly, I found this quite disrespectful as it's trying to push me to babysit without my consent. Right after she left, I grabbed my coat and also left. She was starting her car when she saw me and asked what I was doing. I told her that I was going to watch a movie. I lied. I just refused to babysit without consent. Her eyes dropped and I could see the tears forming as she started begging me more to help her. I still explained the same thing, that it's not the time or effort, but the responsibility. She told me that she would sign a waiver that states that I'm 100% not responsible no matter what happens. I'm not an expert in law, but I'm not sure if a waiver is even legally enforceable. Even so, it still carries a responsibility risk, so I stand my ground. Eventually, she became quiet and started sobbing whilst hitting herself. I, as respectfully as I can, asked if there's anything I can help with that does not involve babysitting the child. She told me to fuck off, so I did, and I actually went to watch a movie. It's been a few weeks and she still absolutely refuses to communicate with me. She still does her share of chores, and we were pretty separate beforehand, so it wasn't that much of a difference in day-to-day life. I do feel pretty bad since I've seen from the past 2 years we've lived together that she has almost no free time and always sleeps later than me and wakes up earlier than me to cram a little bit of extra study time. I know the exam meant a lot to her, and missing the exam might jeopardize her entire degree of 4 years. It sucks that her efforts for the past 2 years have gone on the drain, but that's not an excuse to cross my bottom line. Am I the asshole for forcing my roommate to miss her final exam that she spent 2 years studying for?